Hello YouTube, my name is rhianaB. Welcome back to my Shadowhunter review reaction series, and this is it, guys. We are here at the big series finale of Shadowhunters. We have a lot to cover, so how this is going to work is that this is actually going to be in multiple parts. I'm not too sure if it's going to be 2 videos or 3 videos. I haven't really figured that out yet, but there is going to be multiple parts, so look out for those in the future. So just to remind you guys, if you have not seen any of my past Shadowhunter review reactions, I do have a playlist on my channel if you want to check that out. I will leave links at the very end of the video and throughout the video as well. Don't forget also to leave comments. I love reading your theories and what you guys think of the show or anything like that. I love opening up conversations, so make sure you do that. And also don't forget to hit the like button and also subscribe to my channel because I'm actually thinking of doing more Shadowhunter themed videos, not in particular like reaction reviews, but talking about the show in general because we do have a lot to discuss about this series finale right here and other things as well. So without further ado, let's get into the first part of the 2.5-hour series finale, and that is Pt.1 Alliance. Okay, so we open up with Jonathan and the Sealy Queen, who were somewhere in New York in front of this cafe, and Jonathan starts talking about how he's losing like his sense of taste, he's losing some of his senses, and the Sealy Queen reveals that that's part of the process of him going through this demon metamorphosis. And it's a little scary to kind of see Jonathan like losing his humanity like that, because we did see those tiny glimpses of humanity throughout 3B. Now the thing is was that because of his rune and his connection with Clary? Because if that were the case, then his demon side was really kept like under wraps. Like it was not broadened out that much at all. Or maybe he did have that humanity, but now that that bond has been broken, now it's just like a sucker punch of just this demon side, and it's so strong and just so potent that it's just taking over his entire soul and being. It's a little scary, but the Sealy Queen doesn't see it as a bad thing. She sees this as like, she kind of sees Jonathan as like this rare gem, you know, this very rare thing that only she has the access to, and if she helps him to get there, he will be indebted to her. Don't know if that's how that would work, but that's what she believes, so she offers her help in helping him through his process of trying to transform into a demon. But Jonathan doesn't go along with it. He's reluctant, and he ends up just flying away and doing whatever he decides to do during this whole process. Okay guys, now we're getting into our first clip of the night. We've got a lot of stuff as far as reacting to clips, as well as my live reaction, because of course I have to include that for the series finale. But let's get into our first clip, and that is a clip between Jace and Clary in the whole aftermath of the Alec incident. So let's go ahead and play that clip.
Any word on Magnus?
I mean, really, how could you get word on Magnus? He is in Edom, a whole dimension away.
Alec's strong.
Yes, he is.
Determined to get him back, and we will.
Damn right.
No, we will. I got you back, didn't I?
Did you?
There's something to look forward to. Okay, Clary.
Liar you've always been.
No, I'm not. How do I come back after everything I've done?
You're Clary Fairchild.
Same way I did.
And yes, you do have a great partner in that Jace went through the exact same thing after he came back from being the owl.
And I'll be here to help you. No matter what.
You have to admit, even if you're not a big Clace fan, that you can really appreciate the bond that they have together. Truly, especially in this current iteration of the show, in that they have gone through so much. And I know I've mentioned this in past reviews, but the fact that they've been through so much together, they have been through so many things as individuals, that when they come together, they can really bond and connect and just be Clace. I really don't know how else to say, just to be Clace. So, I have been really growing on Clace in these past episodes. They've really been serving it to me, and I've been loving it. And as someone who didn't really like their relationship all that much, I didn't hate them, but they weren't that standout of a couple for me. But now I'm starting to see it, and I absolutely love that we're getting these in these last few moments of the show. But now let's go on to talk about another couple who are sadly broken up, and that is Alec and Magnus. We are going into our next clip, and that is actually a conversation between Alec and Maryse. just love seeing him with his wedding ring on.
Have you eaten yet?
Oh, look at Maryse being the doting mom. Okay, Alec, you really do need to take care of yourself, though.
It's okay to take some time to mourn.
He's not dead.
Magnus is brave.
He's gone, but...
Alicante. His sacrifice is the only thing that allowed the Clave to successfully banish those remaining wraiths.
Magnus is not dead. He is in Edom.
We both
I love his determination to get his fiancée back. I love it.
come back home. The rift would reopen, and all of Edom would come back with him.
I'm going to find a way. And I'm going to get him back.
That's right. That's right. Malik forever.
I have a wedding to plan.
Oh, just every time we talk about the wedding, I get so giddy. I get so excited. I want to see the wedding so badly. Anyway, let's take a break from the clips. Now we move on to Edom, and when we were talking about the wedding ring with Alec, it was so adorable. I mean, it's a little creepy in some underlining tone, but it was so sweet to see Magnus sitting on the throne to Edom, or throne. I don't know if you could technically call it a throne. I don't know if there's really a thing for that in Edom, but he was playing with his wedding ring and just like thinking about Alec. You could like see in his face he was thinking about Alec, and it was just so sweet. But then Lilith comes in and decides to ruin everything. So Lilith comes in to talk to Magnus about wanting to open enough of a gap in the rift so that she can go to New York, or wherever she wants to go, try to find Jonathan and kill him. And she tries throwing all these like compliments his way and saying, we can work so much better than me working with Asmodeus, da 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 da. You know, if it weren't for you, I would still be a prisoner because if you hadn't banished Asmodeus to Limbo. And Magnus is buying absolutely none of it. He's taking none of this seriously. He knows that Lilith is a pathological liar. She is a queen of hell, so she really doesn't have anything to lose. So she tries all this. He doesn't buy it. Even at one point, Magnus does this kind of like deliciously evil laugh, which freaked me out for a second, but also I'm kind of like, okay, that's actually kind of a turn on.
I had something a little bit sweeter in mind.
I don't like the sound of that.
Just a tiny opening. And the rift that you're holding closed, just large enough for me to fly through.
Excuse me?
Why would I ever do that?
So I can murder that majestic nightmare I call a son.
You would. To my friends. To the rest of humanity.
My word.
And that means what?
Your word.
Yes, exactly. God, he's holding it back so much.
Right. That's enough to jeopardize everyone I love and cherish.
They wouldn't have let you leave. Are you sure they're really worth all that trouble?
Oh, bitch. Oh, bitch. No.
You want me to open the rift for you? The answer is no.
He plays dark very well. Oh! Oh, she's mad now.
I wasn't still recovering from that D-lighter's infernal mark.
You are.
Where is Kane anyway? Isn't he supposed to be her protector?
Get the hell out of my house.
Ooh, I kind of like Dark Magnus, but I kind of don't. It's just interesting to see Dark Magnus. It's interesting to see him like this. Obviously I love him as like the lovey-dovey, or not lovey-dovey, but like the person who's caring and loving and caring about everyone around him. But it is interesting to see this dark side of him, because that side does exist. He is the son of a prince of hell, so he has that part of him there. But one thing I really did not like is when Lilith basically was like, if your friends really cared about you, why would they let you go? And I'm like, excuse me? Magnus did this to save everyone? They are all in his debt, and little do you know, but they are planning to come to Edom to save Magnus, bring him back home, and we can have a happy Malik wedding. So even with Lilith pleading and trying to get inside of his head, he ends up just so casually just sitting on the chair on the throne and is like, your request I'm gonna say no, or something along those lines. Basically, he denies her. And this just makes her so mad that she ends up, like, bursting this magic at Magnus. And of course, since it's Magnus, and she's still not to her full strength yet, he just, like, blasts her out there, and she comes crawling back, and she's just so angry. And finally, Magnus is just like, get the hell out of my house. And I'm like, yes, yes, Sir Magnus, bow down to the legendary Magnus Bane. Interesting and a little scary to see him go dark, but I kind of like it. So I wish we could get a chance to see more of it. But let's move on. Now at the Jade Wolf, we are having another little tribute to Jordan, who did pass away in the last episode. Maya says a few things, and then Simon gets up and talks. And one of my favorite things he actually said during his little speech about Jordan was da-da-da-da, and it's like, even the one time he kicked my ass at Street Fighter. I think that was really, it's so Simon to say a little joke or a little quip to, like, lighten the room. He's not a super serious person. He likes being, like, very light, very up, and very good energy and good attitude. And I love that he brought that one line up and made everyone in the room kind of laugh and remember Jordan as this, like, fun-loving type of a guy who cared about people and all those sort of things. So I love that Simon also got a chance to speak for Jordan. Then Maya goes up to Simon after the whole memorial service is done, and she's like, I'm actually gonna go to Ocean City to see my parents. Being with Jordan has made me realize that I need to cherish the people in my life and can't let these certain grudges or bad feelings affect my relationship with these people, because they could be gone. You know, especially since she's a downworlder and she's an alpha, she's living a much more dangerous life now. So it makes sense for her to try to patch up all of those pieces from her past to make her future seem a little more stable, and she won't have those regrets if she does end up meeting that sort of a death. I'm not saying she is, but if she does, she could, you know, she can live, or, you know, she can live a better life knowing that she fixed those things. That's all I'm trying to say. Okay. And the one line that I loved as a foreshadow was Maya saying, you can't be afraid to open your heart to the people you care about. In direct foreshadow of Sizzy, and we'll get to that in a second. Just, oh my god. I just love that Maya had that one line, especially since this is Simon's ex telling him this. It's kind of like Maya giving her blessing to Simon to move on to somebody else. And I know that they didn't end things badly, but it was like her saying it's okay for you to open up to other people, for you to have that kind of connection with somebody else. So I really like that moment. And then we have a quick cut of Luke with Scott, and they still have the Heavenly Fire Serum. And I kind of suspected that this would happen looking at the promo trailer for the series finale, but Luke ends up taking the serum himself. So he is now not going to be a werewolf anymore. But here's the thing. Is he going to be a mundane, since he lost that connection to his angel blood, because he did turn into a werewolf? Or will he go back as a Shadowhunter and regain his Shadowhunter abilities? And then finally, after 3 seasons, especially the last 10 episodes, we finally get our Sizzy moment. And I'm gonna play the reaction, because my reaction probably will say what I was feeling 100 times more than I could ever say sitting down in this chair right now. So go ahead and enjoy my reaction to Sizzy madness.
Izzy?
Oh my god,
What are you doing here?
I was thinking, life is too precious to waste
Ah!
on stupid things.
Oh my god. Oh my god, it's gonna happen. It's finally gonna happen. It's finally gonna happen. I wasn't expecting this soon. Oh my god. Oh, come on. Come on. Come on. Oh my god. Oh my god. Finally! 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 Oh my god. Oh my god. And the Romeo and Juliet 360 cam turn.
You're burning.
What? What? So, Yeah, out of nowhere, after they make out in this beautifully shot, like, 360 Romeo and Juliet by Baz Luhrmann thing, it's just, she just all of a sudden bursts into flames. Like, pardon? Like, pardon? Like, how is she bursting into flames? At first, like I said in the reaction, I thought it was, like, a dream, like Simon was dreaming about this. No, this is real, and we'll get to the explanation for that later, but we do have another clip before we get to that explanation, and this is with Alec, who is still at Magnus's apartment in his apothecary, still doing research on Edom, when something wakes him up. Oh, look how cute Alec looks sleeping. I gotta say, I don't like that. I don't like the sound really of like something like really hard scratching into glass. I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm shocked he can even hear that. That's not too terribly loud. Especially since this is a big apartment too. Yeah, I really don't like that sound all too much. I guarantee most of the fandom has said that Lizard Ray is them right now scratching help.
This is gonna sound a little bit crazy, but I think you should come over to Magnus's and check on his lizard.
Lizard? Magnus has a lizard?
Yeah.
Lizard.
I didn't know he had one either.
I thought he hated reptiles.
Fire message.
You have to come over here quickly. I have to go. Something happened to Isabel.
And this leads right into the reveal of what is going on with Izzy. So Helen is actually back now, and she does this whole scan of Izzy's body and does all these tests and whatnot, and she reveals to Izzy and to us that when Izzy was not attacked, but she was bombarded with all those glorious shrapnel that landed in her back while she was trying to protect Simon in the last episode, when those pieces got lodged into her back, it infused her with the heavenly fire. So what this means is if she comes into anything, and I repeat, anything that has either demon blood or is a full-blown demon, it could not only hurt them because it's glorious and of its effect on Downworlders or demon blood in general, but it could also possibly kill Izzy. So now she has to completely avoid, at least making contact, like touching and stuff like that. She can be near them, but she can't like touch them physically or stuff like that. And I just hated that so much. And I was just like, we finally got our Sizzy Kiss, and we were gonna finally have our Sizzy moments, and then all of a sudden we throw into, oh, they can't touch each other, they can't do anything together, and I'm like, really? Really, you're gonna throw this into our laps after all the crap we've been through with Sizzy blocking these past 10 episodes and most of the show in general? It's just, it was just, I mean, it's an interesting plot twist, but I just did not like what it did for the Sizzy storyline. But she seems okay with this because she explains to Alec, Jace, and Clary, once they all found out what happened to her, that she's okay with this. And she's trying to make more of a light of the situation. But I also love that scene in particular because it was also the time when it was finally revealed that they were kissing and that they're kind of an item. And Alec is like, wait, you and my sister? Like, what? Jace is the exact same way. But Clary is so the fandom because she just kind of looks at them and she's like, yeah, this works. You both work together. It's like, it's just her, again, Clary giving blessing to Sizzy. And it's just so, so cute. But I thought it was absolutely hilarious that Jace and Alec were like, wait, you two? I just thought it was absolutely hilarious. So, anyway, Jace and Clary come in with some information about Lilith. They actually wanted information on Jonathan, but they end up getting stuff about Lilith instead. And that they learned that Lilith is actually building up this army in Edom to go and attack Magnus so the rift can open up. And obviously, Alec is having none of this, and he's like, I need to be there by his side. But the thing is, Shadowhunters can't go into Edom without basically dying because it's, the contrast between angels and demons and all that sort of stuff. So Alec ends up making what he thinks is a the only decision he can do, and that is for Simon to turn him into a vampire so he can go to Edom and help save Magnus. Now, obviously, everyone in the group is like, no, you can't do this. This is not the right way to do it. But then Alec is like, well, what else are we supposed to do? If any of you have any ideas, I'm happy to listen. And it's really interesting because I don't think we've ever seen Alec like this. I don't want to say obsessed, but like, I guess really focused on a certain mission to the point where he's, you could hear in his voice how much he wants to hear the right answer. And I love that about Alec in that one scene, because it's a side we don't see from him that often, but also, I don't think he's ever been in this situation this dire to him personally, because this is Magnus, his fiance, the love of his life, in Edom. They can't be together. So he is really willing to do anything to get there to help Magnus and either bring him back or for them to be together somehow. Another cut to the Seelie Queen, who finds Jonathan in the woods, and he's already in those beginning stages of him kind of, I guess in an odd way, turning into a demon cocoon. Like, it's kind of gross, a little icky, and just, and also, you know, Jonathan's really struggling, and it makes me think, does he, again, it's like, does a part of him not want to go through this demon metamorphosis, or is this just him reacting to the pain of him turning into this weird little cocoon thing? So, I don't know which one is which. It's still a little tiny bit confusing to me. But the Seelie Queen does offer help yet again, and saying, you know, come to the Seelie realm, I will protect you, I will make sure to watch you over this process. Again, just her wanting to have the big prize that is Jonathan as a demon, and it's just, again, Seelie Queen, again, causing problems, and it's just, I'm over it, I'm over it already. So while the Seelie Queen is doing all this, one of her soldiers is actually missing, and that ends up being Meliorn, because Izzy called on Meliorn to one of the bridges, which I think is one of the Seelie doorways to another dimension, and she asks him if he can open up the doorway so she can go to Edom herself, because she thinks that because she has the Heavenly Fire, even though she's a Shadowhunter, the Heavenly Fire should be able to protect her. And in a way, I think that would work. I think it would make sense for her to do that, because Heavenly Fire is one of the most powerful substances in this world, I would assume. So why not her be safe in Edom with this newfound ability that she can do? But anyway, Meliorn does this for her, but he ends up going to the Institute to warn everyone that this is her plan. And obviously now they're like, oh great, we gotta find Magnus, and now we gotta save Izzy. So Clary ends up coming with the one rune that I have been wanting to see for quite a while on the show, and that is the Alliance rune, or Bind to rune. And basically it's a rune that is put on both a Shadowhunter and on a Downworlder, and in that case their essence is shared. So with the example of Clary and Simon, who end up being bonded together, Clary in turn gets super speed. She also gets like this strong scent, because the vampires have that really strong sense of smell because of the blood. And also in hindsight, Simon can now share, not necessarily her angelic abilities, but to share her Nephilim blood, so to speak. And a couple of quick clips before we get on to the big entrance into Edom, and that is Izzy is in Edom, and she all of a sudden has the ability to shoot heavenly fire, like out of her hands, like a big flamethrower coming out of her hands, which is pretty cool. And then we get a really gross moment with Jonathan in the Seelie court, still in his weird little cocoon, with the Seelie Queen watching, and he starts to come out of the cocoon, covered in this black yuck, and the Seelie Queen just staring at it in complete wonder. It's like nothing. You are true God. You're so perfect. It's just like, it's just creepy. It's just creepy. And now we move back to the Institute for the big entrance into Edom. Lorenzo draws a pentagram similar to the one that Magnus drew at the very end of Season 3A, and everyone is now binded together, Clary and Simon, Lorenzo and Alec, and Jason Meliorn. And one of the best lines I have ever heard on this show, and I'm so glad that they got it in. I don't know how they got it in because of how underlined explicit it was, but it was just so hilarious when Meliorn turns to... Jace basically asks, like, so Alec gets magic and Clary gets vamp speed, so what do I get? And then Meliorn's like, you'll know my skills when next time you go to bed. And I'm like... I didn't quote that exactly correctly, but oh my god, that one line just absolutely killed me. It was so funny. Again, don't know how they actually got it into the show because of how explicit it is, but I loved it so much and just made me love Meliorn like 10 times more.
You really sure this will work?
It has to.
This is incredible. Okay, so Alec gets magic, Clary gets vamp speed, and what do I get? Pointy ears. You'll learn my true powers next time you take your lover to bed. Not just in.
Oh my god.
Although it feels like
Oh, one of the best lines.
such craftsmanship might burn a little.
Let's do it. Let's do this. Come on. They're there! Woo! Shadowhunter Downworlder Alliance in Edom! Woo! But anyway, now the pentagram is drawn. They all go to their respective places. They step in, and lo and behold, they get transported to Edom. And the plan was going smoothly until they ended up getting all separated, because now they're all separated in groups, in the groups that they were binded together to. So Clary and Simon are off in one area, Lorenzo and Alec are in one area, and then Jace and Meliorn are on the other. And they don't know where they are, and obviously they can't send fire messages through their angelic powers because the runes don't work in Edom. It's kind of become a whole mess. And Alec at one point gets so freaked out and so worried about getting everyone back together and their ability to find Magnus that the magic he now shares with Lorenzo starts spinning out of control. It starts like whirling around him, and Lorenzo has to be like, calm down, Mr. Lightwood, calm down. We need to focus so we can get this mission done. And it's really weird that Lorenzo actually calmed Alec down. I didn't think he would be the one person to calm him down, but I think given the situation that they are in, anyone who tells you that we can do this if we just focus, I think that can be enough to kind of settle a person down. So Alec, who had his ring off so he can use it to track, he puts the ring back on, he settles down, and now they're on mission mode to try to find everyone else and to find Magnus. Also, one of the best parts of the first half of the series finale was definitely the duo that is Jace and Meliorn. Like, I really want there to be like a mini series or a spin-off with just the two of them, because they together are so hilarious, because it's so funny when they're sharing the room together, and Jace can't lie, and a lot of his like inner self kind of comes out. Like, he admits that he's terrified that they're in Edom. At one point they have a conversation about if Jace thinks Meliorn's kind of attractive, and he ends up saying, yes, you're about a 9. And just Meliorn's reaction to Jace is so freaking hilarious. It was so good, and it just made me laugh so much. We have a quick little cut from Jace and Meliorn back to a pretty important conversation, actually, with Simon and Clary. They're still trying to find their way to where Magnus is, and Simon all of a sudden kind of brings up about if Clary had the choice, would she go back to live as a mundane, or would she stay as a Shadowhunter? And Clary just openly says, I wouldn't trade the Shadow World for anything. Being a Shadowhunter is a huge part of my life, and without it makes me feel like there's something missing from my life. And it makes sense, because a lot of her life she was lied to, because Jocelyn was trying so hard to keep a lot of this away from her because of her father and because of her family and all those sort of things, and how dangerous the Shadow World can be. She didn't know any about this, because I think we're also still in the span of like 3-4 months as far as the timeline is concerned. So in this short time, she's grown enough, and she's found this stability in her life that I don't think she ever really had, or I don't even know if she really could have if she had never found out the Shadow World in the first place. So yeah, she basically says she wouldn't trade it for anything, and in the cute little moment, because her and Simon are bonded, she starts getting this cravings, which of course is for blood, so she ends up drinking a little bit of blood, and it was a really cute moment, but it was really insightful for her to say that about the Shadow World and how important it is to her. And that's a pretty good foreshadowing for where we'll get at the very, very end of the series finale, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's just move on to the next part. So now we're back into the regular world where Jonathan has a new look. He looks paler than normal, and I don't know if that's just because he also now has like bleach blonde hair. But I don't know if that makes a difference in how pale he looked, but he looked like very, very like scarily handsome. It's probably the best way I could say that. He is very tall. His face is just like sculpted for the gods. He's very pale, new hair. And he also has this presence about him now that just seems like very serious and very dark, which makes sense because now he's fully born into the demon that he is. So the Seelie Queen takes him through the forest, and lo and behold, there are 4 Shadowhunters bound and gagged, and it turns out that the Seelie Queen took them for Jonathan so he can kind of practice his newfound abilities. And I'm just like, if this is the shit that the Seelie Queen has been pulling off for God knows how many centuries, how have the Clave not done anything about her? Because this is kidnapping innocent Shadowhunters. We don't know if they've done anything. But anyway, these are Shadowhunters who've been kidnapped by the Seelie Queen, a Downworlder, to be used as a study of sorts for Jonathan, who's a former Shadowhunter, now turned full demon. It's just like, how did they get away with all of this bullshit that she is like conjured up? It's just ridiculous. But anyway, he ends up killing all of the Shadowhunters and kind of like make them do like an inner burn, like a what's it called? Like a self-combusting? I don't know if that's the correct term for it, but it's basically like where they burn from the inside out, which is really, really gross. And of course, the Seelie Queen finds it a perfect moment to be like, we could be so strong together. We could rule the shadow world ourselves, and kisses him on the lips. And I'm like, okay, nope, I'm done. Nope. Taking it too far, I don't like it. So let's get away from the creepiness that is the Seelie Queen with Jonathan. Let's go back to Edom, where Jace and Meliorn continue to have their cute little conversations with each other, which is absolutely hilarious. But that all dies down when some demons start to attack them. They hold their own pretty well against 2 of them, but then all of a sudden a big, like, small army comes their way. And because they're in Edom, Seelies don't have that much power in Edom, which of course Jace is like, well, what the hell? But luckily, Izzy is there to save the day. She blasts them away with her heavenly fire flames, and now it's the 3 of them on their way to join the rest of the group. And now we are back in the regular world, but this time it's a checkup on Luke. He wakes up in a really strange place. He's clean shaven, which is really weird to see him clean shaven. I prefer Luke with the beard and stuff like that. He looks more like rugged that way, but he's clean shaven, and also it's revealed he has runes. He has runes. That means that his angel blood never fully went away, and the minute that the werewolf part of him was gone, all the runes apparently turned up back on his body. So now Luke is a Shadowhunter again. And I never knew that was something that I wanted to see. But it's so cool to see Luke with these runes on in his former Shadowhunter glory. It's really, really cool. But the thing is, why is he a Shadowhunter now? Why did Scott and Praetor Lupus want him to go back to being a Shadowhunter? It turns out that the reason they want to do this is because they want Luke to be a spy for the Downworld so that they can keep an eye on the Clave since they don't trust him anymore with the whole Heavenly Fire Serum incident. So, Luke basically is like, I'm not going to be your little spy to, with a seraph blade and all that sort of stuff, but I will always protect the Downworld. And that's the thing about Luke. I don't think he ever saw, like, Shadowhunter versus Downworlder. He always just saw these as, like, people and creatures who could live together and deserve to work together and live together in harmony and all that sort of stuff. So he kind of takes on the job, but then he doesn't. And I just think it's really interesting to see how, even though he's gone back to his old lifestyle, that he's still the same Luke who's caring and is respectful of all types of creatures and a true leader, and I'm all for Luke Shadowhunter leader, like, I'm all for that. And finally we get a happy Malik moment, our first of the series finale. Alec and Lorenzo end up finding Magnus, and Malik is reunited. They rush to each other. They're both smiling. They're so happy to see each other. They thought they would never see each other again, and it was just so, so sweet. And even at one point when Magnus asks, like, even if Lilith is gone, like, what do we do now? Alec is willing to stay in Edom with Magnus. He is willing to give up everything so that he can stay with Magnus, because he's like, I'm never gonna leave you again. Oh my god, it just broke my heart. I mean, it broke my heart in the best way possible. It was just so, so sweet. And even Magnus, I think, would deny him to do that because he knows how dangerous Edom is for a Shadowhunter. It's just, oh my god, he was smiling because he's like, he's willing to stay in Edom for me. It's just so sweet. It's so sweet, and I'm so happy that they're back together again, and like they left all this crap behind them with his father. It's just, it just makes me so happy. It makes me so happy. While this whole reuniting thing is happening, meanwhile, we've got Jace, Meliorn, and Izzy, who are still trying to find their way to the rest of the group. And Jace, again, because of his connection with Meliorn, he can't lie. So he ends up spilling to Izzy that Simon is a good guy, and he's kind of envious of some of his personality traits, that he likes the guy, and that the two of them would be great together. And I just love that every single person in the show is 100% a Sizzy shipper. They love Sizzy so much that they're all giving them their stamp of approval, and it's just so, so nice. But this moment is kind of short-lived because they stumble upon a building in Edom, but it's not where Magnus is staying. It's actually Lilith's castle, which means she is inside, because they also see all these demons like flying into the castle, which means this is proof of her gathering up some sort of a demon army. So they devise a plan to try to ambush Lilith and stop her so that she can't unleash these demons out into the world. Not really the most thought out plan, but that tends to happen a lot on this show. We go into the castle, and Lilith is like son, like mother, because she's also in this black yuck, similar to what Jonathan was in, and also very similar to how we were first introduced to Lilith in the beginning of season 3, or the very end of season 2. And it was just so nasty to see her like that, and also because her hair's black and her body's covered in black, it just made her eyes just like bulge out, like they were like huge eyes, and she's just taunting them and all that sort of stuff. And while she's facing Jace and Izzy, Meliorn does this sneak attack from up above, trying to stab her. I think it does work. I think he does get like a hit on her, but also in vice versa, she gets a hit on him, slashes of like a big gash in his stomach, and he starts to suffer, and we think, oh my god, is Meliorn gonna die? Because Meliorn does, spoiler for those of you who don't read the books, Meliorn does die in the books. So at first I'm like, oh my god, are we actually gonna have a death? Are we gonna have another death? We had Jordan, now we're gonna have Meliorn? Like, is this gonna happen? But luckily, Magnus and everybody else, they portal to the castle, and Lorenzo and Magnus are able to heal him enough for him to get back up on his feet. Now the question. Lilith is now turned into her demon form and is now just flying all around the castle trying to get at everyone. So how are they going to stop her? So Magnus and Lorenzo do a joint magic spell, launch at her, nothing happens. Alec, finally, we didn't really see this all that much. He launches the 5 arrow thing, doesn't do anything. And now she is heading straight for them, and nothing is like penetrating her, nothing's stopping her. And that is until Izzy steps up, uses her heavenly fire, and just launches this big attack of heavenly fire toward her, and just disintegrates her, basically. She is like gone. Ah! The fight begins! Oh man! Oh god! Ah! Holy crap! Izzy used so much of that heavenly fire, and it came into contact with one of the baddest demons you can think of, being Lilith, and she's just gets covered in flames. She like is rolling on the ground. She's exhausted, and now it's like, well, what are we gonna do? So they come up with the idea of everyone linking together, because not only are they all connected with their demon blood, but they're also connected with Nephilim blood, which means that they can handle the heavenly fire. So if they all join together and share the heavenly fire throughout all of them, it could possibly disperse from Izzy. So Clary quickly draws a rune on Magnus and Izzy, who don't have it yet. They join in a circle, and slowly but surely they all get engulfed in heavenly fire, and you can see the pain on all their faces. This hurts like hell, and they go through this for a bit, and then all of a sudden it just culminates into this big blast of energy, and it just shoots up into the sky, and all of a sudden it just starts breaking the sky open. Demons are falling all around them, because basically what is happening is that there was so much concentrated heavenly fire within Izzy and now throughout the rest of the group. And when it launches, it's basically like doing acid rain to Edom and just disintegrating it until it's no more. So basically we're kind of left with Edom not existing anymore, which is a little weird, because how can you, because obviously there's like a heaven, because that's where the angels are, but now like where are these demons gonna go? Even though like, because there's multiple there's like princes of hell, I guarantee there's probably like kings and other queens of hell. There's other demons that could survive in the real world, but they choose to live in Edom. So does that mean that now they're kind of like living in the regular world because there's no Edom? Like, I don't know what that really entails, but for the time being, we're not going to think about that, because now this means that Magnus doesn't need to stay in Edom to keep the rift closed, because there's no Edom. There's no place for any demons to escape. So Magnus opens up a portal, and they all leave to return to the regular world. And that is it for 321 of Alliance. So, guys, that was a lot to cover in the first half of the episode, but now I'm gonna leave this part of my review here. I will talk about the last final episode of Shadowhunters in a next part. Again, I don't know if that one will be one video or two. We'll have to wait and see. So go check out that video. So on that note, I'm gonna end this part of my review here. So don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, leave me your comments, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the little bell icon so you can be notified when my videos come out. So I will see you guys in the next part. So until then, bye! Mwah.